5. Revolt, a Masonic authority, and Mackey, do not exactly agree on the part Chevalier de Bonneville played in the Rite of Perfection. Bonneville may not have been a Jesuit, but when we look at the part he played in the Rite of Strict Observance, we see many indications that he was a Jesuit. According to Burke M.C. Carty's book, The Suppressed Truth About the Assassination of Abraham Lincoln, several U.S. presidents who had come out in opposition against Jesuit Masonry had been targeted by the Illuminati for assassination. M.C. Carty states, 1. President William Henry Harrison. In 1841, General William Henry Harrison of Ohio was elected president by a large majority. The loyalty of the Union toward General Harrison was above question, and it was the aim of the power of Leopoldines, a great Jesuit spy system, to defeat him. In his inaugural address, President Harrison said, "We admit of no government by divine right, believing that so far as power is concerned, the beneficent Creator has made no distinction among men, that all are upon an equality, and that the only legitimate right to govern is upon the express grant of power from the governed." With these unmistakable words, President Harrison made his position clear. He hurled defiance to the divine right enemies of our popular government. He did more, for those words signed his death warrant. Just 1 month and 5 days from that day, President Harrison lay a corpse in the White House. He died from arsenic poisoning, administered by the tools of Rome. The Jesuit oath had been swiftly carried out. Note: for a copy of the Jesuit oath, refer to pages 99 to 102 of William Cooper's book, Behold the Pale Horse, care of Light Technology Publishing, Post Office Box 1495, Sedona, Arizona, 86336. The oath appears in Chapter 3. Oath of Initiation of an Unidentified Secret Order. Although Cooper suspects the oath might have originated from the Jesuits or the Knights of Malta, he is uncertain. However, Dennis Passero and other researchers have published exact duplicates of the oath which appears in Cooper's book, and states it is the Jesuit oath, thus confirming Cooper's suspicions. It basically states that the Jesuit is through all means moral or immoral. The immoral acts can supposedly be forgiven, if they are done in the name of the Roman Church, to devote their life to bringing about the destruction of the Protestant movement, and to bringing all nations under the control of Rome for the glory of the Queen of Heaven, no doubt the same pagan goddess worshipped by the ancient Babylonians, none other than the ancient Queen Semiramis, to whom we can credit the post-Diluvian resurgence of witchcraft. There is much evidence that pagan Rome worshipped of the Queen of Heaven previous to the rise of Christianity, and eventually gave her the name Mary to win favor with the Christians. Mary was a virgin when she gave birth to Jesus, but Scripture confirms that she gave birth naturally to other children following this. Jesus was born through the womb of Mary, the Son of Man, but was conceived by the infinite Spirit of God, the Son of God. Therefore Mary should not be mistaken as the mother of God any more than Joseph should be accepted as the father of God, nor his parents as the grandmother or grandfather of God, etc. Many allege that the Roman Church is nothing more than the continuation of the ancient Roman Empire which sought to dominate the world, and that they merely donned religious garb when they discovered that religious feeling was an enormously effective way to control the masses. The fact that Constantine was the last official Roman emperor and the first official Roman pope is cause for great suspicion. M.C. Carty continues, "Allow me to quote for you from U.S. Senator Benson's 30 Years View, Volume 2, page 21, regarding the death of President Harrison. There was no failure of health or strength to indicate such an event or excite apprehension that he would not go through his term with the same vigor with which he commenced it. His attack was sudden and evidently fatal from the beginning." And at the close of the chapter in Senator Benton's book, we read the significant bit of information which should be well pondered concerning Harrison's family, that the deceased president had been closely preceded and was rapidly followed by the deaths of almost all of his numerous family, sons and daughters. That is extirpation with a vengeance, is it not? Note: the Jesuit oath calls for members of the order to extirpate the enemies of Rome. Branson. 2. President Zachary Taylor, in his first message to Congress, he said, "But attachment to the Union of States should be fostered in every American heart." For more than half a century, this union has remained unshaken. The arch plotters, fearing that suspicion might be aroused by the death of the president early in his administration, as in the case of President Harrison, permitted him to serve 1 year and 4 months, when on the 4th of July, 1850, arsenic was administered to him during a celebration in Washington at which he was invited to deliver the address. He was in perfect health in the morning and was taken ill in the afternoon about 5 o'clock and died on the Monday following, having been sick the same number of days and with precisely the same symptoms as was his predecessor, President Harrison. 3. Attempt on President James Buchanan. He was invited to deliver an address on Washington's birthday, and made reservation at the National Hotel, which the way was the headquarters of the Jesuit traders, for himself and his friends. The gentleman had had his ear to the ground evidently and heard the rumble of the abolitionists, and when the committee asked for a conference, he coolly informed them that he was President of the North, as well as the South. The following quotations from the New York Herald and the Post at the time chronicle what followed. The appointments favoring the North by the Jeff Davis faction will doubtless be accepted and treated as a declaration of war, and a war of extermination on one side or the other. February 25, 1857. On Washington's birthday, Buchanan's stand became known, and the next day he was poisoned. The plot was deep, and planned with skill. Mr. Buchanan, as was customary with men in his station, had a table and chairs reserved for himself and friends in the dining room at the National Hotel. The president was known to be an inveterate tea drinker. In fact, northern people rarely drink, that is, drink anything else in the evening. Southern men preferred coffee. Thus, to make sure Buchanan and his northern friends, arsenic was sprinkled in the bowls containing the tea and lump sugar and set on the table where he was to sit. The pulverized sugar in the bowls used for coffee on the other tables was kept free from poison. Not a single southern man was affected or harmed. 50 or 60 persons dined at the table that evening, and as best can be learned, about 30 died from the effects of the poison. President Buchanan was poisoned, and with great difficulty his life was saved. His physicians treated him understandingly from instructions given by himself as to the cause of his illness, for he understood what was the matter. Researcher Dennis Passero also quoted the above in his Conspiracy Tracker newsletter, no longer being published. Being the avowed Catholic that he is, we cannot say that Passero had any particular bias against the Catholic Church in his exposition of the Jesuits, but that he saw the corruption in the Roman institution and exposed it. Passero has made some interesting comments in relation to Jesuit Masonry and the assassination of one of the most popular presidents in American history, President Abraham Lincoln. The subject of Lincoln's murder is too vast to be covered here. M.C. Carty believes that the Jesuits and their tools, the Knights of the Golden Circle, were behind the crime. What is interesting is that President Harrison, Taylor, Buchanan, and of course Lincoln, were all strongly dedicated to the preservation of the Union, and all had made speeches indicating their stand. If the Jesuits wanted the Union split, they were not alone. In 1876, Otto von Bismarck had this to say: the division of the United States into two federations of equal force was decided long before the Civil War by the high financial power of Europe. These bankers were afraid that the United States, if they remained in one bloc and as one nation, would attain economical and financial independence, which would upset their financial domination over the world. The voice of the Rothschilds predominated. They foresaw the tremendous booty if they could substitute two feeble democracies, indebted to the European financiers, to the vigorous republic, confident and self-providing. Therefore, they started their emissaries in order to exploit the question of slavery and thus dig an abyss between the two parts of the republic. While M.C. Carty links the Golden Circle with the Jesuits, Dr. Stuart Crane says that the Golden Circle was financed by the Rothschilds. Note: Dr. John Coleman had stated in essence that the old line blue blood or black nobility families of Europe who claim descendants from the ancient Roman emperors make up the link between the Rothschilds, who control Masonry, and the Jesuits, who control much of the Catholic world behind the scenes. Branson,